So we're back with another podcast live from the Giro d'Italia. This is Simon Kessler in Boulder, Colorado, with Daryl Impey live in Italy, who's the director with Israel Premier Tech. We're at the rest day after the first full week of the Giro d'Italia. Really exciting week, Daryl. I know you've got plenty of interesting, exciting, crazy stories to share, so we can't wait to hear a little bit more about how's it been over the last week or so at the Tour of Italy.
Yeah, it's been hectic. I've had my own bit of experiences, but there's also been, look, we had the start in Albania, which, went all right. We got close to winning a stage there with Corbin, which was really good for us. Yeah, it's really, really tough 3 days. To be honest, the whole first week on paper didn't look super tough, but the guys have been racing. They've been racing like for everything here. Mads Peterson has been super strong. Of course, we know he's had some days in the pink jersey. He's ultimately lost that, but yeah, he's been the standout, I think, for the week. In terms of just not only winning but also being super teammate. We saw yesterday in the stage 9, the gravel stage, first into the sector, just basically ripping the race to shreds for Ciccone. Yeah, he's been a real standout. Vacek has been very good, very solid teammate at Peterson. But looks like Trek's really dialed the first weekend compared to all the other teams. I'd say Trek's walked away with a lot of the accolades. Of course, UAE's been very, very dominant as well. They've got 4 guys in the top 10 after 1 week. Which has been amazing for them. Del Torre yesterday taking as well the Maglia Rossa, which is, like, I don't know if it's the first Mexican, I'm not too sure, but yeah, it's amazing to see such a young rider. Incredible ride yesterday. And was also, I think it was a highlight of the week for everybody, I think, watching, see White back up there winning again. He's one of the big boys in the sport, and he's had a few close calls, and you kind of felt like he deserved something, and it was a really nice stage for Wout to win yesterday. Yeah, it was super impressive. A lot of tactical things going on in the race yesterday. A lot of stuff happening. But yeah, the Giro's been exciting. I mean, us as a team, Derek's been really strong. He's making his way up the GC ladder. He had a bit of a bad day the first day, but he's walked away this week with a great time trial, a great race yesterday. Puncture took him out. He was with Roglic. Anyone who punctured yesterday lost about a minute to the GC favourites, which we expected, to happen. But in general, it's been exciting. But the race is still so far from over. Everyone's still pretty close, within 2 minutes on the GC, and anyone in that 2 minute zone is, is around the mark. I think if anyone would have signed to be 2 minutes down at the end of yesterday's stage, they would have taken it. So we're in a good position, and so are other teams. But
So
it's been fun.
tell us. Yesterday's stage looked pretty crazy. I mean, the gravel, the scenery was also spectacular. But I know you guys have spent many months preparing for a stage like that. Tell us a little bit about behind the scenes, what goes into preparing for a gravel stage like that. Also in terms of equipment and also recon and everything else that you guys did beforehand.
Well, yeah, Derek recon the stage after Torino Adriatico earlier in March, so he's already done it. Sam, who's the main DSF for us, he's done Strada a few years as a rider and in the car, so a lot of experience there. Yeah, and it was literally the amount of resources you need for a day like yesterday. It's just insane. We were getting favors from friends. We've got a Italian director, Francesco Frazzi, who's got some family and friends that live down here. He was at another race, but he basically got them to help us at some wheel points. Yeah, you've really got to plan these things, because you've got to plan where you put your wheel points. And we did a good job. I think the wheel point that we planned, and Derek punched it at the bottom of that descent. He was only 100 meters away from those guys. So it was super lucky. But in the same part, maybe it's also like a lot of good homework being done by all of us here. All the directors here, and the knowledge from Sam and the guys doing the recon, and marking points along the course where they said, this is dangerous, you could probably flat down here, let's put a point here. to put it in perspective, man, the mechanics had a huge day. We changed all the tires from 28s to 30s. You know, you know, but it's not just the race bikes and then a few spare wheels. It's 2 team cars with spare bikes. That's 7 bikes because we don't have the Yen anymore. So it's 7 bikes. That's 14 bikes plus their race bikes. So it's 21 bikes with wheels. Then we had 19 sets of wheels that went out to the wheel points along the way. We had 19 sets, so people had that so you can imagine the mechanics when I told them that we have to change some of the wheels and the sizes and the tires. You know, you got to change. We're looking at 50, 60 sets of wheels. You know,
Wow.
if it was back in the old days and you had a tubular on, it wouldn't have been possible. But obviously with tubeless, it's highly possible. But yeah, they had a mega day, and as well, like finishing the stage and then coming back, and the cars are just full of dust, and all the bikes need to be redone, and you know, mega day. But in saying that, I think the course was super gravelly, super difficult. Driving in the car, I couldn't see in front of me, man. Like if the cars didn't have their lights on, there was no way we could see each other. And it was funny because even if I thought, at one stage I thought, let me back out a bit here to give myself a bit of breathing, and it was worse because then it was just this puff of smoke. So, it was quite hectic. You can't see the people on the side of the road. You can't see riders if they're coming through the cars. Super stressful. Like, you know, luckily
Wow.
there's
Sounds
no
brutal.
accidents, but yeah, you're on high alert, eh? It's a very, very demanding stage, and I mean, like, yeah, we saw guys crash, guys lose time. It really creates a different dynamic, which is awesome. But thankfully, all the GC guys and that only lost a minute or 2 minutes due to a puncture or something like that. But yeah, could have been worse for a lot of guys.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse. Eh? I mean, some of the GC favorites, luckily they all made it through. I mean, Roglic lost a little over a minute. So did Derek as well from your team. But I think they're still very much in contention. I mean, the Giro's still a long way to go. Let's talk a little bit about what happened with UAE. I mean, they had an interesting dynamic there where they had Del Toro in the front, and then they had a couple of teammates behind trying to pull away from Roglic, but also chasing Del Toro. So, like, what do you think's going on there now with the hierarchy and the dynamic with UAE? How do you see it playing going forward with so many guys in the top 10 right now?
Well, you know, they were actually stuck in a rock and a hard place. You've got someone like Del Toro, who's not a proven GC Grand Tour rider up the road, which is potentially he can do it. Then you have Roglic and Derek and a few others missing, you know, due to a puncture, and it's an opportunity to put time into them. So then you look at that group, their composition they had there. They had McNulty, they had Adam, they had, you know, they had 4 guys, that like 3 guys in that group too, which are all going to be players later on in the race too. You know, and yeah, you can tell the hierarchy is there. I mean, it's Ayuso is the man. They're riding for Ayuso. That was the game plan. UAE's pretty come out saying that as well. That Ayuso is the priority, and he has been from day one. So I guess that was their thing. I mean, afterwards you look at it and you go, well, if this Del Toro guy, if Del Toro can actually like surprise everyone, nobody knows in week 3, you know, they lose it by 30 seconds to someone like, you know, like someone in that group that they were riding with, they're going to regret it. But no one has a crystal ball. I guess you go back to the basics of what your team tactic is, and they obviously discussed that during the day too. Certain scenarios where whatever group Ayuso's in, we've got to ride as fast as possible. So I think that's what happened. I mean, afterwards, I'm sure there's some Del Toro fans saying, you know, it got closed down. But I'm sure getting the Maglia Rossa and everything else that's come with it, he's probably just chuffed with that at the moment. And then we'll see as the race unfolds.
Yeah, he's an impressive rider. Won the Tour de l'Avenir at a young age, and I mean, this year already, he's done a lot of work. He's been one of the last guys, you know, for today, some of the other guys. So yeah, he's a really impressive rider. I'm curious to see. Who knows? He might be the surprise of the team. Maybe in the end, he's the guy who's on, you know, winning or the top rider from UAE. It's not impossible. But they have many cards to play at this point, so they're in a very, very powerful position. I heard going back a few days, we had that crazy day with the rain and all the crashes and the neutralization. I heard you had some adventures there yourself as team director, also with Jan, unfortunately having a bad crash and crashing out. Tell us a little bit about that crazy story you were telling me a little earlier. That sounded pretty mental.
Yeah, it's so like we have this massive crash, and it was actually well, it's funny now when you talk about it, but in the race it's not. So like the commissaire came on, Alpecin crash, XDS Astana, UAE, and then it was like Israel Premier Tech. I was like, jeez. And then it was like a lot of actually all teams down, all teams, and it was just like,
Sorry.
oh shit. And then it was just panic, and there was panic station. Then I was in the second car there, so we were quite a few cars back. But obviously, the first car was already there with bikes, and Mitya was running from our car, and just everyone. It's just like mechanics everywhere, just running through the cars with wheels, bikes, like a war zone. And then the comms just gone. Listen, there's not enough ambulances left, of course, so we're just neutralizing the stage because you can't race if there's no ambulance. So they neutralized the stage for a certain section, and they said, listen, we'll regroup. But then they had like a rolling, like they were just riding at 20k an hour. But you got to remember, these people that had just crashed, they're all like hurt on the floor, Jai Hindley, everyone's like super hurt. And people like picked themselves back up or got a new bike. Because they kept the rolling at 20k an hour, it still created like a lot of panic. Everyone was just trying to like get up behind cars, and it was raining and it was slippery roads, and it was just like hectic. And eventually guys couldn't come back because it was too difficult. Like in between the towns, it was too dangerous. So then they eventually decided, no, we'll actually just stop the race. So they stopped the race, and then everyone like regrouped and like caught their breath, and guys got like some bottles from the car and like, okay, we're going to race again. And then they decided they were going to neutralize the stage. There was only going to be a stage winner at the end, whoever's crazy enough to go for the stage. So we basically said we're out. And a lot of other teams also said we're out because it's just too dangerous. Too early in the Giro to take these risks. It was, Caden, I'm not taking any away from Caden's win. Like, he's one of the fastest guys. Yeah, and he had a great team that said, you know what? If we do this right, we can win, and and they race for it. So it's great to see him win. Like he's a good friend of mine, and it was really cool to see. But we as a team were out, but we had Jan who had really hurt himself. So I was tasked with just getting him to the finish line, and because there was no stages neutralized, there was no time cut or anything. So I said to Jan, just cruise in, man. But it's 65k to go. I'm like, just take your time. And eventually it's just like, we're riding around, we're like on the highways and we cruising along, and I'm thinking, we're hemorrhaging time here at the moment. And basically the commissaires have come up to us and said, listen, you guys need to hurry up because like we're holding up the whole of Napoli, We were last on the road, and obviously Jan had we didn't know his injury then, but he wanted to finish, He wanted to cross the line so he could have a chance of going to the hospital to see if anything's broken, and then also like if nothing's broken, he'll try the next day. It's just a weird mindset cyclists have, that they're willing to like do anything it takes because of all the preparation that's gone into this. Anyway, we're going down the highway and following this motorbike in front of us, police motorbike, and I'm like, whoa, like. And they've called us again, and Sam's called me and gone, Daryl, you really need to get him to hurry up. I'm like, I can only make him go as fast as he can physically go. And anyways, motorbike's taking us off the highway, and we're following him, and it's like all on the race route. And then next minute we go right. I'm like, he's going off course, this guy. What's he doing? So the mechanic in the car, Mitya, says to me, he says, Daryl, don't stress it. Maybe he just knows a shortcut because the stage is neutralized. Maybe they're like, let's just get him off the highway, and we've got a different way. So I'm like, that doesn't seem right to me. So I race up through, like, we're now in traffic, like, race up through the cars, and then I'll go to this guy, and I said, listen, the policeman, I said, listen, where are you going? What are you doing? He's like, do you have the route? I'm like, what? I have the route. We're off the route. But as we turn around, man, it's just gridlocked. There's cars are oncoming, and, police motorbike weaves its way through. So Jan weaves his way through as well. And then I'm like, Jan, just follow the route. And he says, where must I go? I'm like, just follow the route on your Garmin. And he's like, I didn't put it on my computer today. So I'm in the cars and I can't see over. I can't see where Jan is. I've got a big van in front of me. I'm stuck. I can't see where he is. And I just said, just get on the highway. But if you see cars, you're on the wrong highway, So Eventually, like I talk to him and I say, Jan, where are you? Where are you? He says, I see a sign, 20k to go. I said, okay, just stay on that road. So I'm hooting between the cars and I'm still trying to get out. Eventually, I got to him. Man, we do this like mad, like just eventually they come to us like, no, you really need to get off here. So I give him a little like a help and I give him a little bit of a push and whatever. Eventually get him to like 2k to go, come across the line. They've opened up the highways, and but we've held up the whole race as well. We've held up. Nobody can leave Napoli until we finish. So like because of the half an hour delay, because we were also like half an hour behind the group as well. Like all the teams had to wait as well. And of course, then Jan, we took him to the hospital and found out he had broken something in his leg as well. So I mean, the amount of pain these guys can endure just to finish a race. I mean, 60k like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's just yeah, and I get it because I've also been there before, going like, I've broken my collarbone in the tour and gone. I think it could be broken, but I'm not sure. So I'll push to the end until I get final confirmation from an X-ray. But yeah, it's insane. So I mean, but when we were stuck in traffic, it was just like, and Sam said he could hear me on the radio, and he could just hear like just chaos happening. I was like, can you imagine sitting in the race at the end, going, "What is going on there?" I'm just
That's
like,
especially Napoli. I mean, that's one of the
yeah.
craziest cities as well, I think, in
Oh,
Italy, you know.
and people are swearing at me like, "What am I doing?" And I'm just like in race mode because I'm at a race, you know. It's like, and my ride, I'm hoping it's on the highway, like on the way to Napoli.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
it was
Yeah,
it
that's
was
crazy.
hectic, and then like my stories didn't stop there, you know. Then like 2 days later, I'm like, oh, cool, man. Like feeding the guys on the side of the road. I just like went ahead of the race, so I could just do the first feed, so we can like just to give the Swannies a bit of a break that they don't need to go to another point, you know. So I'm waiting. It's pretty common between teams to do that. So I'm waiting on the side of the road to give some bid-ins with the mechanic, and then as we start going again, I'm following the convoy, and I'm behind Bora, and I'm just in like cruise mode, and I follow Bora, and we're going, and I'm like, oh no, I think we've just gone the wrong way. Like he's exiting the course, and I'm not exiting the course. I'm like, oh no, but now I'm on the highway, the wrong direction. So I have to go 10k out, come back through the convoy, like. It was a disaster. Like it was honest mistake. Like it was, yeah. But like the traffic is open behind you, so you can't like run red lights, and you got to stop at stop streets. And it took me like 30k to get back. It was super stressful. And as I get back, Hugo's asking for a bottle, and Marco's just got in the breakaway. It was just like this perfect storm, and I was just like. And Sam was just like, man, you've just like learned how to be a DS all in 1 week, you know, like it's just everything that could potentially happen in a whole DS's career has probably happened to me
That's
in the
crazy.
last week.
It must be when you were a rider, did you ever realize like your team, the guys in the team car were going through things like to that level, were you just oblivious to it and just focused on
No,
racing?
well, I was just like super focused on driving and like, okay, I got to get back there, you know, but
But when you were a pro, I mean, like back in the
oh
day, did
no,
you
no,
realize?
no, jeez.
Yeah.
No, like you don't know. Like sometimes you hear they've had such a day, and they're like, "Man, you don't know where we've been today, mate. Like we did this bottle point, we got stuck here, and then there was a railway crossing, and we couldn't cross." And you're like, "What? I don't know. What are you talking about?" And you just
Yeah.
think about the race, but then,
Yeah.
like Mitya in the car with me, he was like super chilled. He's like, "Ah, it happens." I'm like, "What?" He goes, yeah, it happens, you know. Don't stress."
Especially in
I'm just
Italy,
like,
I'm sure, because everything's a little more chaotic in Italy, I feel.
yes, it's just like, but for me, I was just almost when I finished that day, I was just like, and then Marco got in the break, you know, obviously, and then I'm like, oh, so it's like switch on from this panic mode to like coming back to the convoy, and then like immediately Marco's in the break, so I'm going ahead to the breakaway, passing riders again. I was just like, once I got to the break, I was just like, poof, I can actually just breathe and
That's
eat my
crazy.
sandwich quickly.
That sounds wild, man. Well, you need a rest day just as much as the riders, it sounds like.
Yeah,
And
it's actually I
yeah.
got a ride in today with the boys, which is nice.
Oh yeah. So what does it what does a typical rest day on a grand tour look like for you guys and for the team?
Well, look, I mean, like Derek's obviously going to go full gas tomorrow. So he had a bit of a harder day than the rest of the guys. A lot of the other guys are looking forward to some rest. They just did like an hour and a half easy coffee ride. I think Derek did some efforts on his TT bike. But yeah, generally most of the guys are going to have an easier day today because tomorrow they can kind of open up again. So whereas Derek kind of it's kind of you don't want to shut it down today and then tomorrow you're like, oof, you know, just full of fluid, full of everything else. So yeah, he had to kind of expend a bit of energy today so that he's ready for tomorrow and his body hasn't like shut down. Where the other guys have a chance to like ride in and then like stage 11s. I mean, it's a difficult stage, but it's nothing like we've seen yesterday or the previous days. So they've actually had a few nice easy days, but
Flatter days? Or?
it's a flat. Yeah, it's undulating. I wouldn't say it's flat. It has got a climb in it, and could be a potential breakaway. Depends how these teams race. You know, as we start getting through the week of second, third week, it starts becoming which teams haven't had success. So like maybe Peterson or Vacek are one of the favorites to win, but maybe Trek says, you know what, like it's not up to us. We've got our stages, and then it's a great position to be in because then you actually still continue to get success because all the teams that are wanting to get something out of the race are doing your job, and then you're just left with more numbers in the end, and you just like take advantage. So
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Trek's in an awesome position now because the pressure's off. They've had the jersey, they've had stage wins. Ciccone riding well. You know they're in the pound seat.
What I know in like the rest day can be make or break for like a GC ride. I remember when Chris Froome was winning the Tour de France, we were running a bike tour, and on the rest day we saw Chris Froome riding, and he was literally like motor pacing, and it looked like he was going like all out, like a full on max effort motor pacing on the rest day. And it seems like some riders, they need to keep that pressure, they need to keep the body going, otherwise it kind of shuts down. You know, what is, and for those who don't really understand that concept, like what is the idea for the GC guys to really keep up some intensity even on a rest day instead of trying to just rest? Why are they doing that?
Well, I think it's as well. Like, there's also body like fluid retention. You know, you do a decent ride, you kind of keep that off a little bit. You know, some guys can have a day they ride too easy, the next day they're like 3 kilos heavier. You know, and it's not uncommon that. But if it's a hard stage or like tomorrow is a target stage for all the GC guys. So it's not like tomorrow we see it as a stage where Derek could actually make time on the GC guys. So it's like, you know, tomorrow's a stage we've said, oh man, this is an opportunity for us to get back in the game, you know, get some time back that we lost yesterday. And yeah, the same with other guys. But the whole, I mean, I remember riding the Giro a few years ago, my first Giro, and I just needed a rest day. I was tired. I was like, oh, and it was raining outside. I was like, I'll just ride the ergo, and I just did 30 minutes. And the next day, I was hanging on for dear life. And before that, I was riding front group. I was no issues at all. It's just I was so blocked. It's that sensation of like just feeling so blocked the next day, and then you have it. You kind of blow the cobwebs out. And then the next day you magic again. But it's kind of like, you know, with all the eating, you know, your body's so used to spending 5,000, 6,000 kJs a day. And now all of a sudden you're spending like, I don't know, 800. And then it's like, you're still eating the same. You're still like, oh, I'm fueling for tomorrow. And then it just kind of builds up. And then that's when those riders get that sense of just like an overload, you know, and they kind of feel so heavy.
Yeah.
So that's
Your
the
body,
behind it.
yeah. When you start to rest, your body switches to repair mode, and that's often where you feel like crap, you know. It's almost like you have to keep that stimulus of like, you know, pushing and adrenaline and movement just to stay in that mode, you know, throughout the race. Once you start taking it easy for a few days, then your body kind of shuts down for like a, you know, a good amount of time, you know. So
I mean, it's like anything. Like if you're starting to work on something and you're dialed in, you're in the zone, and you plug in numbers and you're like thinking about things, but then somebody else comes and interrupts you and says, oh, can you just tell me about this? And then it takes you like longer to get back in the game, you know? Mm-hmm. So
for sure. So now we have the time trial tomorrow. How long is the time trial? Is it mostly flat, or is it kind of undulating?
it's got a big little, well, not big little, it's got a little mountain, it's not a mountain, it's a climb in the middle of the time trial, but its majority is flat. So it's
TT
27
bike.
Ks, it's a long one. It's a long one where there can be a lot of difference being made up.
Yeah, Roglic is going to try hard to make up time tomorrow, I think. But Ayuso is a great time trialist as well. Who's looking good from the GC favorites going into this next week? Who do you see really as a main contender now going forwards?
Oh, I think it's Roglic, Ayuso. Simon Yates had a good race yesterday. He's looking solid. kind of flying under the radar quite a bit. And I think he's a little bit of a dark horse. Then there's obviously the whole UAE contingent, which is, pretty deep. It'll be we'll know more about them once we start to go into the bigger mountains. But time trial wise, McNulty will put himself a little bit back in the game tomorrow potentially. Del Toro has a good time trial too. We'll see how Wout goes tomorrow. Will be an interesting one. Maybe he's like kind of found himself a bit. Tarling will be good tomorrow. Ineos has got a great team. I think Ineos rode a great race yesterday as well. They kind of dialed it in and they went for it. I mean, obviously Bernal faded a bit there at the end, but how awesome is it to see Egan back in the race? Like, he just brings another dynamic. It's this uncertainty, climbing really well, having a go. We haven't seen Bernal like that in ages after his injury. So I think he's back to where he was, and that's given us also that's also given this race something really nice to talk about. Like there's a little bit of he's found himself again. He's got his spot. Ineos is kind of making their way, racing really aggressive, which has been exciting for the viewers to watch, and it also keeps us in the car second guessing. Got a good friend there, Zach Dempster, who's the DS, their main DS, and every morning, kind of Sam and I would do a little bit of the rounds around the pit there, and we just gave a little chat. So what's on the radar today? And we knew they were going to go for the stage because the day before there wasn't earmarked as a breakaway, and that's why it took like 80k to go, because everybody knew breakaway is going to win. Ineos wasn't in anything. They weren't following anything, and that gave you a true sign of like, okay, they mean business tomorrow. Like,
I think Pitcock he was saying that as well before the stage. But Bernal, he had such a horrific accident, and the fact that he's come back to such a level. I was at the tour when he took the yellow jersey for the first time. We were by chance staying in the same hotel as Ineos back then. It might have been Sky. I don't remember. But one thing that marked me was, when you ride back at the hotel, just put on the yellow jersey. All these Colombian fans were there, and he was like so kind and patient. Like he went to each one of them and spoke to them and had photos taken with them. And he just seemed such a kind and humble person,
No, he's a great guy. He's a great guy. Like like when you see him, he's just down to earth, like you say. And you can see the people around him. The people around him in the team. You can see the staff how they are around him, right? They're all like, "Hey, Egan." It's not like Egan. He's the main guy. He's a prima donna. It's more like they care for him, and you can see it. You can just see it as a person, and that's awesome to see.
Yeah, he seems like a really special personality, a kind person. Not only a great bike racer, but just a great person, which is really cool to see.
And then another thing was that day in the breakaway, it was good to see Plappy win. I mean, Plappy's, it was good to see Jayco, my previous team, them bag a stage win. And, Luke's obviously been knocking on the door for a few years now. He hasn't actually, it's strange with his capacity that he hasn't bagged more of these wins, but, clearly showing that he has the legs. They came here for stages. He had a big celebration after.
He was downing the champagne there quite a bit, it looked like, on the podium.
Yeah, he was enjoying his champagne, and then he paid the price the next day. But it's worth it. It's worth it. You win big, you should celebrate, and I rate that because I think, the sport is so bloody hard that like you should be able to enjoy these moments. And at a Grand Tour, you don't get those chances to do it because we have so much on the go. But you might as well. Like tomorrow's another day. You'll get round. You'll be fine, and then you'll recover. It's very cool to see him win as well. So I think that's a bit of relief there as well because they've had quite a few quiet years as well at the Giro. So
that was a great win. He's one of those riders, a little bit like we were talking about on the other podcast, like like a Louis Meintjes, where you either see him at the back or like he doesn't seem to love being in the peloton. He doesn't have the best maybe sense of handling himself in the peloton or being aggressive, but yet he's got such an incredible engine, right? And when he goes away, he's hard to bring back. I mean, he's also super aero and he's like super powerful. It's very
he's a class rider. I mean, he's when he wants to be there, he's there. So that's kind of the short short bit of it. But yeah, very cool week at the Giro. I think there's lots coming. There's a lot of riders still have to show quite a bit these next couple of days. There's a few sprinters that haven't had their real sprint yet. There's a bit of an iffy. Some opportunities this week, some opportunities for breakaways, and then obviously another big weekend coming up. So looking forward to it.
So we have the time trial tomorrow, and then is the next GC day really coming this weekend?
Yeah, it'll be this weekend. So I'm just going to go through it here quickly with you. Just tell you by going through my fancy app on Velo Viewer to give you all the details. I have the book, but I actually with my I've put it in a bag somewhere and I'm not organized. But yeah, so we've got the time trial, then we've got 186k. Looks like it could be a breakaway day. Also potential GC day, 3,600 meters. Then a really flat finish, a real flat stage. Stage 12 is 172 flat finish. Then next day, stage 13, also flat, 1,600 meters. Then the next day is, again another flat stage. So you've got 3 flat stages in a row. Then stage 15, stage 16 are the big ones. So
That's Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday, 220 and 204 Ks, with both of them over 3,700 meters of climbing. So Sunday's the big one, which is 4,666 meters of climbing. So
that's a big day, yeah.
and then the third week even gets worse than that. So this we're talking now 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds. That's all going to be done by the time we're going to be talking minutes. We're going to be talking 5 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes by the end of this Giro.
Yeah, wow, that's that's typical. Historically, that's been the case with the Giro, the final week. I remember Nibali one year, he made it back, I think, in the final, like a day or two before the end.
He took the jersey of Chavez that year.
Yeah.
It was the second last day.
Yeah, I remember that. That was epic. Yeah, crazy. Yeah, this Giro is known for that. The final is always brutal.
Yeah, and it's a long way to go still. It's 2 weeks. 2 weeks from here. So
cool. You have another rest day next week?
Yeah, next week Monday we'll have another rest day. So we'll probably do a catch up then.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for taking the time. If you guys are enjoying this, please like, rate us, give us a 5-star rating if you're enjoying it, share. And also remember, we're on either YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. And we really appreciate those of you who are helping us get the word out and also leaving comments. Anything else, Daryl, you want to share?
No, all good. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And I'll hopefully won't have many other stories out of the peloton. Maybe I'll have some better ones with a victory, hopefully, soon.
Yeah. We don't want to hear the crazy ones. We just want to hear some big wins for you and the team. All right, guys. Thanks for joining. See you.
Yes.
Ciao.
Ciao.